Hello and welcome to the Wheel Route Fantasy Football channel. As you can see, I'm already into a live NFFC 30K Best Ball Championship. Getting a little set up here, running a little behind today. Kind of lost track of time, but here we are. Got the first round going. We can see Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Jahmyr Gibbs went to me in the 4-hole. Then we see Justin Jefferson, Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Ashton Jinty, and Malik Neighbors go off the board. Give me a couple seconds. I need to post this in my Discord and on Blue Sky and hopefully get a few of you in here. And we'll go from there. So just bear with me for the moment. As the picks come in, I'll try to rattle them off. I'll actually be also setting up the draft in the first place. I like to have cheat sheets out and I don't have them pulled up yet. Actually, let me do that first. That usually throws me off if I don't get these up and going. Happy Labor Day to everybody that works for a living. Thanks for spending your Monday afternoon or evening, or maybe your ride to work tomorrow with me. Please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I often decide kind of last second when I'll be doing these things live or recording, although we're very close to the end of the season. So this might be the last one. I might, depending how I feel this evening, I might stream a couple of underdog Best Ball Mania ones, Best Ball Mania drafts to finish out that tournament. And then there's a couple, actually a drafters tournament. I might do that tomorrow. We'll see that. Like, I kind of always have plans to stream every day, and it falls through. During the regular season, I plan on Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday morning. So Tuesday evening, I'll be doing like a waiver wire thing. Thursday pregame, I'll be answering questions and just going through lineup setting, what players from the Thursday games we may want to start, which ones we might want to pass up in lieu of the players going on Sunday. This week, I hope to do a draft tomorrow, but we'll see. For some reason, come on, man. Technology has been really malfunctioning on me today. There we go. But we'll get through it. Looks like it's coming back to my pick in the second round. After Neighbors went at 9, we see Nico Collins at 10. Derrick Henry went off at 11. Okay. That's I feel like I've been getting Derrick Henry in the second, but on the turn too. So it could go. I think I actually took him in the first once with Chan. I got to pull up previous draft boards too. I like to reference them. This is my 9th one in this tournament. So, and the ADP in the draft room takes into account drafts from months ago. So I don't like to include that. I like to just look at my drafts. So we see that, all right. So after Derrick Henry went Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas at the turn to start the second. Then we see Drake London, Chase Brown, Brock Bowers, Puka Nacua, Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irvin. Devon Achane has fallen. I'm also considering A.J. Brown here. There's third round reversal, so it's not coming right back to me at the turn. I'm going to grab I have so many shares of Achan, but I've never seen him fall this far. And the combo of Gibbs and Achan is probably rare. Uh, Even if Achan is hurt to start the season, we can remember his rookie year. He didn't play in the first game either and just exploded throughout the year. So when Achan plays, he's going to be a top 6 ranked running back for the most part, week to week, depending on matchups and that sort of thing. And Miami is likely to be, let's say, either playing from behind or barely ahead. So they're going to be dumping off to Achan probably quite a bit. Especially, I'm sure Tyreek Hill is going to be back. He's had an oblique. Uh, Everybody's been banged up except Waddle. Waddle's a good pick on Miami right now. But Miami's going into the season kind of limping, weak defense. But that offense has explosive pieces. So I went that route. You know what? I was actually thinking yesterday when I took fourth in this overall tournament 2 years ago. I think it was 2023. I did so with a AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert stack. I kind of yesterday I was thinking about this draft and I was like, you know what? Maybe I should do that. I should have gone AJ Brown to see if I could just complete that stack again and roll that to a top 5 finish. Oh well, maybe I can still pull off the stack just without AJ Brown, which kind of weakens it, doesn't it? All right, so we see the third round reversal after my Devon Achan pick goes AJ Brown, Lamar Jackson, James Cook, and then Lad McConkey to start the third. It's wow, Lad McConkey in the third, but it's really just kind of 3 or 4 picks after he usually goes. Nothing too surprising. Terry McLaurin, second pick of the third round, kind of makes me wish I had a pick in the back end of the draft. But well, there's a couple guys I like in that. I'm happy to get this end of the draft. I've been in the back end of these drafts in all 8. I had 7 as the earliest I've picked so far. So just to switch it up, get a share of Jahmyr Gibbs. I was, would hope for Bijan Robinson, but I'll take that flyer on Gibbs. A lot of people have a few smart people have Gibbs as their number 1 overall running back. So I'll ride that train, see where it takes me. Of course, Achan could be a shot in the foot, but in the second round, I don't think he's really going to burn me. If he starts 8 games, he's going to be an RB1 in most of those 8 games, and I have a feeling he'll start more than 8. So here we go. Third round. Let me pull up this assistant. I'm going to pull up my cheat sheets. Hide, drafted, hide. Maybe I want to, oh no. Pull up my recent cheat sheets. I haven't really looked at the news Saturday or Sunday. Hopefully not too much has happened. I have a feeling it would have really popped. And I would have seen something had there been something massively go good or bad. So stick with what I know. I might check out some Roto World as we go. And then after this turn, I need to actually, maybe I can post in my Discord real quick, just so they know. For those that don't know, I do have a website, Discord, and I'm easily accessible through that Discord for questions Thursday nights and anytime questions. But I will be pulling questions from YouTube from my Discord before looking at any other real sources. Okay, so we had some wide receivers pop off the board. Tyreek Hill goes. Let me just look. So I should be looking. Where is he? I'm looking at receiver for the most part. There is one running back. There's 2 running backs that I like, but one should be available. I'm just going to grab Mike Evans. I think he at least starts out the season pretty hot, with Godwin not being there, Egbuka being a rookie, Cade Otton being the only other veteran target there. In this format, it is a marathon type format, a straight through scoring. So there's no playoffs. So I'm not in tournament best balls where they have a playoff system or pools or however you want to call it. It's good to think toward the back half of the season, but really we're looking for 8 to 10 top end weeks from each of our picks in the first few rounds. And I think Evans can easily do that with Godwin out. I think he should start out a ball of fire, and I can gear picks towards the back half of the season later. So before my Mike Evans pick in the third round, well, Ladd McConkey started out the third round. Then we saw Terry McLaurin, then Trey McBride, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Omarion Hampton, T. Higgins. T. Higgins is another guy I should have more of. I was kind of looking at my original projections and original thoughts on what this season was last week, and I realized I've been pushing Higgins down little by little throughout the entire summer so that I don't have nearly as much of him as I originally planned on getting. So I really I'm worried about that. After Higgins, Marvin Harrison, Tyreek Hill, I took Mike Evans, then went Kyron Williams, who was the other running back I was considering, and would have had I I might have passed on him because there's other running backs later, including one I could get here, but I do have another old wide receiver, or I could go young, older, young. I'm going to go with Devontae Adams here. Couple old heads that I think still have another year left in them. I was contemplating another wide receiver. I seriously doubt he comes back, but the team's been getting kind of shady reports, so maybe that's kind of doubtful. It's pretty far away. So I picked Mike Evans, and then after me went Kyron Williams in at the 310. Jaden Daniels went at the 311 to the same team that drafted Lamar Jackson. Now they're probably done at quarterback, but I think drafting two high-end quarterbacks this early is kind of capping your upside in a way. Yeah, you're going to have the best quarterback week to week, but you're missing out on a third round pick every week. The point value you can get at wide receiver and running back, or even certain tight ends there, is kind of like, oh, you know what, too? I should have thought about Kittle in the fourth round. That's what happens when I walk into these without really going over a draft strategy first. Oh, well. 'Tis what it is. All right. So we see that Jaden Daniels. We see Xavier Worthy to end the third. Joe Burrow to start the fourth. That happens a lot in NFFC. They want the stack. Although I would always let Burrow I would always try to get Burrow to slide to the fifth and sixth if possible. I don't think Burrow should really ever be drafted before, let's say, wherever. Like, I guess I could see, like, I personally would wait until the fifth round, the sixth pick in the fifth round. If I had T. Higgins, I would draft Burrow. So I guess he probably thought he wouldn't come back. So got to get Burrow for the stack there if you want it. Then we see Travion Henderson, which is another really good running back that I could have waited on. Probably A.J. Brown. was really the pick with that 2 hole pick. I could have, and I might have grabbed Hertz though in the 4th round instead of Adams. It really would have changed the makeup of this draft had I done that. But we shall see. We shall see. I guess the 3rd round could have been a running back. Yeah. But anyway, so after the Burrow, Henderson, Josh Allen start to the 4th, I took Devontae Adams, then went to Torrey McMillan, George Kittle, Garrett Wilson, who is the other wide receiver I was contemplating at both the 3rd and the 4th round. Kenneth Walker goes in the 4th. I think Kenneth Walker is one of the most overdrafted running backs this year. He's only practiced like 6 times all summer. He gets banged up real easily. And a new coaching staff might just decide to split that role in 2. Then we see DJ Moore at the 409. Alvin Kamara, the 410. Breece Hall, 411. That was one of the running backs. I was like, maybe he'll come back. He's been falling to the mid-5th in some drafts. We see George Pickens to end the 4th. I like that pick. I have quite a bit of Pickens. See Jalen Hurts go off to start the 5th, then Emeka Egbuka. He's risen a little too high, I think. I understand the hype on him. I like him a lot, but I don't think I'd be drafting him ahead of guys that went after him like Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams. I guess I can see it. But really with this pick, you are hoping he is everything Godwin has been. And I mean, as a rookie, I don't really quite see that right off the bat. I could be wrong, though. Could be wrong. Then we see Chuba Hubbard. I don't draft Chuba. I don't think I have any Chuba Hubbard unless he's fallen. He has fallen to the 6th sometimes. I think I have him ranked as like a late 6th, early 7th round pick. Then James Conner goes. 2 more picks until we get to me. There's definitely, this is kind of my wide receiver range. There is a running back that hasn't been taken yet that I do quite like, but there are 2 running backs. All right, so the 3 teams to the left of me, the 3, 2, and 1 team, at least 2 of them will probably go running back. Devontae Smith, who was really the receiver I was really hoping for. I think I'm going to squeeze in another running back here just because there's really only there's a cliff. There's one more, and then there's a cliff. So I know there's going to be receiver coming back to me that I like. I am going RB heavy here, but it's a 30-round draft. So I could now wait until the late teens to grab 3 more running backs, and well, I wouldn't be done. I usually get about 7 running backs in this format, I think. It's 7 or 8 running backs, 8 or 9 receivers, I think is usually the way I go. I always go 3 kicker, 3 defense, either 3 or 4 quarterback, 3 or 4 tight end, and then the rest fairly even split between running back and wide receiver. Usually might lean slightly, maybe 1 more, 2 more wide receivers compared to running backs. In this case, where I get 3 running backs in the first 5 rounds, I'll probably end up with 7 total running backs, which means I will wait probably quite a while before I get another one. Thanks, Best Ball on Call. Appreciate it. You're probably out already. Definitely appreciate it, though. So far, Best Ball on Call is winning for most likes given to these streams. So you gotta that's your goal, people. If you're watching this later, and comments. I really like the comments, especially when the videos are over and done. So I've made let's see, in my rankings, yeah, Jalen Waddle is next. I'm making the Miami bet on Achan. I really don't want to double down on that, but I think he kind of has the least fleas of any of these picks. He had a down year last year, but that whole team looked like they were in shambles. I expect them to at least start out strong again this year on offense. We'll see what happens, and if Tyreek Hill acts up again, he's most likely going to be sent packing. Whether they trade him away for cheap or outright cut him because he's an issue on the field or in the locker room. Waddle could be lined up for another heavily targeted year. And Waddle's been there all camp. Waddle seems to be the clubhouse favorite. I think Tyreek Hill at the beginning of summer was kind of vying for that captaincy, being named one of the captains. He was not. So to me, that sends, and maybe because he's been out and hurt, but I think that might send a message that the team is tiring a little bit on Tyreek. We'll see though. But all Tyreek has to do is have like a 200-yard game, 2-touchdown game to start out the season, and all of a sudden he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and all this, nonsense or theatrics go right out the window. All right, just want to make sure I posted this notification that I'm going live anywhere and everywhere I can. If you follow me in the Discord, I usually notify the Discord first when I go live or when I'm, when I have anything going on. If you're dead set against Discord, I am active on Blue Sky. Please follow me there. I would much prefer that to being followed on Twitter. I'd like to get off Twitter altogether. It is basically the owner's a Nazi. He's the biggest supporter of the Nazi party, so I'd rather not support the Nazi party in Germany, or anywhere for that matter. But I've built up quite a following there, so a lot of you are coming here from Twitter. So my recommendation was anything you can get on Twitter, you can now get on Blue Sky. And I'm going to start to just retweet different things, or if people aren't on Blue, actually, there are a couple news sources that retweet like everything Schefter does, or anybody that's on Twitter that's not on Blue Sky. There are a couple accounts on Blue Sky that will copy and paste their stuff so that you're not going to miss anything by going over to Blue Sky. It's a good idea to do it. Sorry about this. Oh, actually, you know what I could do instead of the silence? Let's give me some background music. Let's set the volume at 2 so that I'm not blasting you out, but I'm not leaving you dead silence. I really do not like radio silence, so I feel like hopefully that's. Tell me if the background music is too loud, too soft. Let me know what's going on there. I got a couple sound effects I forgot to use last time. Maybe I'll work them in today. Getting to know this live streaming thing is challenging, but it does make it a little bit more fun. Kind of examine my drafts as I go and think through things, I think maybe a little bit more clearly than I have otherwise. But actually, no, it can serve as a pretty big distraction as well. Put All right, almost done here. What's going on in the draft? After my Jalen Waddle pick went Isaiah Pacheco, Jerry Jeudy, Jacoby Myers, David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Tyrone Tracy, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Etienne to start the seventh, Travis Hunter in the seventh. I was between Jalen Waddle and Travis Hunter with my previous pick. Then Rome Odunze, Zach Charbonnet goes. Zach Charbonnet has been creeping up. I have quite a bit of Zach Charbonnet. I think he really. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not going to say I think he's going to take over for Kenneth Walker, but I actually lean and hedge towards that way. I wouldn't be surprised if Zach Charbonnet outtouches Kenneth Walker this year and outscores him in fantasy football. Rashee Rice in the seventh, I think that is a fantastic place to take him. Although this format, Rashee Rice is less valuable than players in playoff formats because you really miss 6 games of his potential scoring. And it's probably a week or two before he gets reacclimated with everything when he does get back. All right, so looking at my board, he's got to be gone now, right? No. All right. Stephon Diggs is still there. Welcome to the squad. Stephon Diggs, he's day-to-day with something. No, he's fine. He might be day-to-day or something, but he's not going to miss. So Stephon Diggs in his first year with a new team likes to impress. Even with Houston last year, his first, I think the first 6 games he played, he was doing quite well, better than expected. But then he got injured, and there's a very good chance that he gets injured and he's out 6 to 8 games, but there's no reason to think he won't be the most targeted wide receiver on New England when he does get back. Did I finish going through all of I think I left off at Rashee Rice. After Rashee Rice went Chris Godwin. He's probably going to be out 5 games. But similar play to the Rashee Rice pick. Then we see Deebo Samuel. Travis Kelce goes right before me. I take Stephon Diggs. Just looking at my receivers. I don't have any stacks until later. Kind of want to look in the quarterback direction right about now because I know in this format they'll go quickly. I just don't have any. I'll probably wait until the 9th if I can. And this is where I like to pull up previous draft boards just to see where guys go. Because it is quite a while between the 8th and the 9th when they get back to me. I won't be able to pull up draft boards quickly enough. I'm just wondering if I should reach on a quarterback. No, I'm not going to reach on quarterback. I'm going to play it safe. If I don't end up with a stack, I don't end up with a stack. Learn how to spell Wheeler. And I'm probably missing my pick, aren't I? Where am I? Yep. Okay, so after Stephon Diggs went Matthew Golden, TJ Hawkinson, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Bo Nix, Khalil Shakir, Jaylen Warren. And I think I'm just going to go for my 5th wide receiver. Oh. 7 seconds left on the clock. I had a torn between 3 different wide receivers. The tight end. Oh well, I got Jordan Addison in my queue. I'm going to go with him. I will say the other receiver and tight end's name when they go, which they probably will. The tight end could make it back to me, but we'll see. Hopefully now. Oh, no, there goes Tyler Warren right there. A pick right after me. That was the tight end I was eyeing up and probably should have gone with him. Jordan Addison's out 3 games. And the other thing is that I didn't quite think about is they did get Thielen now too. So not only is Thielen going to, fill in that Jordan Addison role in the first 3 weeks, if he does well, Jordan Addison will probably be worked in slowly or slower than he would have been until Thielen kind of fizzles out. If Thielen's 34, 35, he's pretty old. So maybe I'll grab Thielen. Actually, Thielen's been coming up boards. If Thielen continues to stay down on the, if other people avoid Thielen, I'll get him at a value, but I'm not going to reach for him in any stretch of the imagination. We'll see though. I do like Addison. I think Addison, when he does play, is a top 24 receiver without a doubt. All right, so I'm trying to do 2 things at once, and I'm not very good at that. Not so good at that. All right, I am going to pull up a couple of my actually, I might pull up all of my old draft boards if I can do it super quick. And yeah, I should have time. Sorry for the kind of half paying attention. I never prepare very well for these things. You get to see my angst and stress and chaotic nature as I would naturally go through these drafts, basically. Like not overthinking, but I do like being prepared, which when I'm not, I do show some stress added to strategy. We'll call it that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Coming back towards my pick, not quite yet. Almost done pulling up all the draft boards. Got time. Get back to our draft room. 3 picks away. So after Tyler Warren went, we see Kyler Murray go off the board at the 6th pick of the 8th round. Then Mark Andrews, Chris Olave, who I was contemplating over Jordan Addison. Then we see Jordan Mason, Dak Prescott, Cam Scatterboo, J.K. Dobbins, Caleb Johnson, Colston Loveland. Then Drake May goes. I was really hoping Drake May would come back. That is disappointing. Then David Njoku, Jared Goff, Javonte Williams. All right. Some tough choices are going to be coming up. Just trying to think if there's quarterbacks I can backstack. There goes Purdy. I'm going to grab a tight end here. Evan Ingram should be really good in PPR. He's kind of my safety net for PPR, solid floor receiver. I'm hoping. They went out and got him. You know, he's not going to play the Joker role. The Joker role is kind of an overused term almost. Whenever we talk about a Sean Payton team, the Joker role is supposed to be like Alvin Kamara was more the Joker than Jimmy Graham was. But if they use Ingram similarly to Jimmy Graham, like when Peyton was coaching the Saints, then we should be in for just an absolutely fine year. Evan Ingram's drawback has always been he doesn't score touchdowns. He does catch a lot of passes. He gets some yak. But the way Peyton used Jimmy Graham, it was really at the goal line towards the end zone. So we could actually see an emergence of, imagine your standard Ingram with a few more touchdowns mixed in. That's a pretty good year. And in the 9th round, I'll take that all day long. After Evan Ingram goes Juwan Jennings. I was also contemplating Juwan Jennings in the beginning of that 8th round. There's been more talk on his calf. And I thought I heard somebody say San Francisco put him on IR. I need to double check that for sure. After Jennings goes Christian Kirk. That's a little early for him, but I think that's where he should be going. Then we see Tucker Kraft go. I think the Ingram pick was smart. Tucker Kraft is going to be more of a touchdown guy, less of a PPR guy. Then we see after him to start the 10th, we see Keon Coleman, Marvin Mims, Josh Downs. There's a bit of a teardrop when it comes to receiver there. I could grab a stackable quarterback, but no. I have a ton of Justin Fields, and I'm going to grab him again. 10th round. It's the spike weeks, right? Like, there's two reasons to draft Justin Fields. When he has spike weeks, he could be the QB1 overall in given weeks. And he should have 5 or 6 spike weeks where he's a top 5 or 6 quarterback, which is really what you're looking for week to week. So even if it's best ball. So even if he takes zeros, I'm going to have quarterbacks later, at least 2, that should fill in those zeros with some floor. But Fields, in the 10th round, there's not going to be anybody with really higher upside than Justin Fields week to week. So I will grab him unstacked. I might be able to stack him with some scraps later. I usually am. And I know I have quite a bit of him. In fact, I kind of got to go through and take a look. So I drafted him in my last one. Nope. No? All right. 2, 3. I have him in 4 drafts. I think it's 4. The earliest I've drafted him is the 7th round. And I did get him toward the end of the 10th or 11th was that. I got him in the 11th round last time. Maybe I could have waited, but I needed something at quarterback. We can see here goes a quarterback run. And I'm afraid the guy that I kind of am targeting with my next pick, I'm afraid he's going to go before he gets to me. But here's to hoping. If you're in, like, subscribe, hit the notifications. Let me know you're here. Say hi. If you're in the draft, let me know, just so I know when I can kind of reveal what I'm thinking, when I can't. I try to stay tight-lipped just in case, but if I know you're at the other end of the board, I might do a little bit of talking. Or if you're right before or right after me, I might, talk a little less. But I'd appreciate it if you let me know if you're in the draft. Just say something in the chat. Tell me, I'm in the 8 hole. I'm in the 2 hole. Just so I'm not revealing everything and we keep this on the up and up. Otherwise, I got to switch these to recordings next season. Actually, so this is one thing I'll say too. There goes JJ McCarthy. Maybe I'll go over the picks. Yeah. After my Justin Fields pick goes Ramondre Stevenson, Justin Herbert, Caleb Williams, Michael Pittman, Jordan Love, Jake Ferguson, Deontay Thornton in the 10th? That seems rich. And then Trevor Lawrence to end the 10th, Kyle Pitts to start the 11th, followed by Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler. JJ McCarthy was who I was going to stack. I was targeting to stack with Jordan Addison. And we see Dalton Kincaid go off the board. Man, there is some tough choices coming up. That. All right. Okay, I could do that. Or that. It's, I want to draft quarterbacks that I can stack, but really, I might have to get the receiver before I get the quarterback. So, and no. I don't know if a quarterback will go at the 11-12 turn, those 3 picks on the left side of me there. I might be able to push quarterback around that turn if I grab a receiver CJ Stroud was one I was going to target. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab Darnell Mooney in the hopes that Penix makes it back around. There are 2 other quarterbacks I could backstack late. But I'm probably only going to get one of them. It might be then there's another quarterback I can stack later. He should fall, I would think. Maybe not. I'm definitely grabbing a quarterback with my next pick regardless. And maybe I should have just gone quarterback here, but then I would likely have not been able to stack Penix at all. So let's see. Did I go through all of the picks before me? I don't think so. I think I stopped at JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy went with 4th pick in the 11th round, followed by Dalton Kincaid, Luther Burden, Tank Bigsby, and then CJ Stroud went right before me. I probably would have gone Stroud instead of Mooney because I think I could have backstacked him with 1 or 2 guys. But Darnell Mooney is a good pick in the 11th round. People have kind of let him slide since he had that ankle injury. But it seems as though he's back in practice and should be good to go for week 1. Even if he's not good to go for week 1, he'll be fine for week 2. And that's a nice floor to have at the wide receiver position, especially with my Addison being out a couple of weeks and even the old heads maybe fading later in the season. Mooney should be fairly consistent and provide me at least a safe floor at wide receiver 3 or flex. After my Mooney pick goes Trey Benson, Ray Davis, both the high contingency upside plays, followed by Rashad Bateman to end the 11th. Then we see Braylon Allen, and Braylon Allen should probably be going in the single-digit rounds, like maybe ahead of Javonte Williams, or right in that. I guess Javonte Williams is technically the starter, so like he's going to see the action first or get the chance first. But it sounds like Braylon Allen's going to see 40% of the touches, maybe 50% of the touches in that Jets backfield. I feel like they're trying to deal Breece Hall, which might be good for Breece Hall. All right, so after Braylon Allen goes Jaden Blue and Bashal Tutin. Kind of combine those names there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my second QB, and I will stack Darnell Mooney with Michael Penix. It would have been nice if Pitts made it back. It would have been. I definitely would have done the Penix Pitts instead of the Mooney. Actually, Mooney probably will outscore Pitts, but being the tight end position kind of gives Pitts a little bit of an advantage. Although I don't mind Mooney. Mooney as a sixth wide receiver is pretty clutch. It also means I could probably wait until the late 20th rounds or mid to late 20th rounds to even consider wide receiver again, which is what I might do unless there's some sort of stackable option, which I guess there could be, depending on what quarterback I end up with. Looks like next round I will probably try to get a third quarterback. Although there may not be a good option. If there's no good option, I'll just wait and, dumpster dive in the 20-somethings for one of those or two quarterbacks. Might have to go four tight end and 4 quarterback. That could be one of these drafts. All right, so after my Penix pick went Keenan Allen. So if I stream tomorrow, it'll probably be some drafters best ball tournament drafts. But I will also be talking a bit about the waiver wire. And I just saw Keenan Allen was on one of my waiver wires in one of my redraft leagues. And I'm in leagues that draft 20 rounds. So like he's likely to be on a lot of your home league waiver wires. Might be worth a snag or stash depending on who you would have to drop for it. Actually, I wasn't able to get him. I was able to get a running back that I don't think has actually gone yet, that I might want to put on my radar real quick. Maybe he did go. I don't remember calling his name out. I do like going over all of the picks out loud because it helps me remember who has been picked. And this one might be quite a bit, yeah. So there's 2 running backs that I really like in this range. I know I need that third quarterback. There goes 2. That was my stackable option at quarterback. So yeah, we might wait a bit on quarterback in lieu of ooh, there's another receiver out there that probably shouldn't be. Yeah, there's a receiver out there that really shouldn't be out there still. Ooh, ever see Hunter Henry go? How many tight ends are off the board? Good Lord. All right. Got to keep an eye on that too. Huh. We see a lot of tier breaks, a lot of, I mean, drastic tier breaks starting to really tumble off the board. That is the biggest problem with drafting this late, is that there's very few sleepers left, right? There's a handful of sleep, and actually, you know what? Rashad White, that's the 13th round is about. He could probably go in the Bigsby rank. Damn! All right, that is the quarterback. The last quarterback, I think, that is kind of really worth. Oh, you know what? No, I do have a stackable option here. I'll just grab Matthew Stafford. I don't particularly like him, but I do have Devontae Adams, so I totally forgot about that stack. It's just a smart move to do, and as we see, Stafford probably would have gone with the next pick unless somehow Aaron Rodgers is a stack for it. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is stacked for him with Metcalf, but Stafford prefer Stafford, even if he doesn't make it healthy through all 18 games. And actually, I have inconsistent Justin Fields. Who knows? Possibly, it's a upside play with Michael Penix, but it could be just a total tank. You never know if he's actually good and gonna make it through the season. And then Stafford, who is, let's see, toward the end of his career, if not at the very end. But I mean, as Stafford and Rodgers, I prefer Stafford to Rodgers as an overall talent at this point. And maybe forever. I think Stafford is a better quarterback all around than Aaron Rodgers. Sure, Aaron Rodgers is hyper accurate. And he doesn't throw interceptions because he will throw balls away. Stafford's a little more, I don't want to say YOLO, but might hold on to the ball rather than throw it away. We'll try to fit it more into tight spaces where Aaron Rodgers looks for his guy. He'll throw his guys open. He's talented, but he's toast. He's not what he was. Even at their peak, I preferred Stafford. Stafford doesn't do a whole lot of fantasy scoring, though. That's kind of his drawback. Maybe he will again with Adams, but we'll see about that. All right, so the tight end that I was eyeing up, that I think, there's also those two running backs, right? But I think Isaiah Likely has fallen way too far. Earlier in the season, he was being drafted too early in the season. Let me see. In my first one of these back was probably mid to late July. Isaiah Likely went in the 14th round, same round. I just, maybe it's other formats. He was going much earlier. Yeah, this is the range he's just been going in these drafts, I guess. Yeah, okay. He's even fallen later. Well, I wasn't going to pass him at this point. Likely he'll probably miss 1, maybe 2 weeks, but then he'll be back with a vengeance. I live in the Baltimore area and actually taught one of my former students. His father is an accountant for the agency that represents quite a few of the Ravens, so they get some inside information. And back in February, March, this kid comes up to me and tells me the inside scoop on Baltimore is that they're going to hold on to Mark Andrews, use him as much as possible until he wears out, or maybe even try to trade him at the deadline because they really like Likely and want to make him their Pro Bowl tight end going forward. So it may not happen. It certainly probably won't happen at the beginning of the season, but we might see a late season surge in Likely's usage. Hopefully. because I've been scooping them up in this range at this point. Anyway, so in between my Stafford and likely picks, when Aaron Rodgers I talked about, Sam Darnold, I've kind of been fading just because I think we saw his last 2 games with Minnesota. He's seeing ghosts again. They'll probably be able to hide that for a little while, but you know, he might make it through half the season. By like week 10 or 11, they'll, look to the record, see where they are, and I would not be surprised if Jalen Milroe gets a shot to show what he's got. To end the 13th round goes Ollie Gordon, which was one of the 2 running backs I was talking about going too late. I needed to get Stafford there. I really didn't have a choice. Then we see Demario Douglas, Zach Ertz, Brenton Strange. I took likely. We see Brian Robinson go off the board, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson. Yeah, just scraps at quarterback, right? Dylan Sampson is the other running back. I think Dylan Sampson should be going in that Trey Benson, Ray Davis, or even before them. Dylan Sampson's a starting running back in the NFL. He's starting for the worst team in the NFL and probably splitting the role. And he'll probably split the role the whole season, in the beginning of the season, Jerome Ford, towards the end of the season, Quinshon Judkins. But I would imagine Dylan Sampson will hold on to some sort of role throughout the entire season just because he's young and talented. After After Dylan Sampson, we see Cedric Tillman, Josh Palmer, Joe Flacco, and Chigakonkwo go off the board. And then to start the 15th round, we see Denver Broncos defense go off the board. Adam Thielen goes. Wan'Dale Robinson goes. Wan'Dale Robinson, I like as a pick in the 15th round for PPR. Was it 140 targets he had last year? Something crazy like that. And I really like the Jackson Dart pick for Team 9 in the 15th. I would have tried to see. I would have liked, if I didn't get Stafford and he gets taken, maybe I grab one of the running backs. I was going to be hoping for Dart. I probably wouldn't have drafted Dart until maybe the 16th round. But all of this is making me think that both of the picks of Stafford and Likely were the smart way to go, even though I missed out on those 2 running backs I really like. But Jackson Dart, I think, is going to really come on in those as an underdog and like DraftKings or wherever you, or FFPC, wherever you see a playoff format in best ball. Jackson Dart is a great pick for those, the playoff weeks where you need to, you need spike weeks from somebody at some point. I think Jackson Dart probably start the last 6 games or so of the season for the Giants, and I think he's got it. That it factor that he. I think that Jackson Dart's going to be the Giants quarterback for the next decade. I didn't think so when he was drafted. I thought it was a reach again, but the way he's looked in camp has sounded to be impressive. Okay, so I wasn't going to get another wide receiver until later, but with Brandon Ayuk still around, maybe I'm missing some news. Yes, he will be out 6 weeks. In order for him to accrue a season and get his full paychecks, he's going to need to play. He's going to need to be on the field for at least 6 games. If that's at the end of the season, fine. If it's, 10 games, awesome. As my 7th wide receiver in the 15th round, all day, every day. There's no way I could pass that up anymore. Gonna queue up a couple other guys. Let me look at my cheat sheet. It's probably fairly depleted at this point. Let me also look. So I have all my, I don't have field stacked, but who cares about that? Although, it might be, No, Mason Taylor went in the 12th round. All right. Well, we'll see if I can scoop one of his receivers in the late 20s. So I don't need to look receiver at all. After my Ayuk pick, we see Jonnu Smith, Rico Dowdle, Theo Johnson, Woody Marks. Nice running back pick there. Then Justice Hill. Blake Corum goes. It is my pick to take a look at my draft assistant here. And yeah, I'm going to grab another guy that's on IR. Tajay. Does he come back? Let me just look at where he went. How much time do I got left? I need to look. 20. I'm just going to grab him. Tajay Spears, I'll take there. Yeah, he'll be out 4 to 6, right? But again, by the time he comes in, we've seen in the past, we've seen Pollard take on a full workload and work with it, but he certainly becomes less efficient, more worn down. And when Pollard has a full workload, don't get me wrong, I have Pollard ranked, I think, within the 4th or 5th round now. Like, I was contemplating Pollard when I drafted RJ Harvey. I just think Harvey might have some more upside, having fresher legs and being on that Broncos offense. But Pollard, Pollard's a very good starting running back, but I think he succeeds more when he's getting 15 touches, not 20 touches consistently. When he gets 20 touches consistently, we see him getting worn down. That's why I think Spears, as soon as he comes back, Spears is going to get 8 to 10 touches and maybe cut in on him more if he can live up to our previous expectations of him. Spears does lack knee cartilage, which is going to, limit the amount of games played or limit how much they can use him within games, and how he hasn't been able to stay very healthy, throughout his short career. But here's hoping, right? And as a 4th running back in the 16th round, no harm, no foul. Play towards the back half of the season. I should be fine with Gibbs, HN, and Harvey for most of it. Just kind of fill in spots with Tajay Spears. And right now, I'm just scooping up value wherever I see it. Might start might start looking at a particular team kicker, but the Cowboys team kicker is gone. So I might wait a couple rounds. We'll see how many of them. There probably won't be any kickers. And I'm a firm believer that kickers should go before defense. Kickers are the top end kickers are more predictable and consistent than the defenses are. So yeah, most of the consensus is that the Broncos defense is going to be the best and Steelers defense is going to be good. But there's no telling that they're going to be the top 2 defenses, right? Like, we can almost be positive that the Cowboys kicker is going to be the number 1 kicker, and on a pretty consistent basis. It's just between the stadium, the offense, and his talent. And even if the starting kicker goes down, it's a team kicker, so it's still a safe bet, given their offense and they play in that Jerry Dome. But we also see the Chargers kicker go. Again, it's a warm weather stadium, so similar to the Dallas play. And Chargers coaches don't often go for it on 4th. They kick a lot, so decent play there. But yeah, we'll see a string of defenses go. Maybe not here, but probably in the next 2 rounds. And I just don't think defenses as a whole should be drafted first, but I kind of, you got to go with the flow. You got to play the supply and demand game, the economic scarcity game. So, I want three kickers. I want three defenses. There's been plenty of studies that show having three at those onesie positions, and really all the onesie positions, tight end and quarterback as well. Having three will prevent zeros in any weeks, and should probably just look at my cheat sheet to see if there's just two running backs. There's really 4 or 5 running backs that I like. So there's 4 or 5 running backs I like, and we can see the 1, 2, and 3 teams each have 5 or 6. I think they each have 6 running backs, right? And they went heavy on running back in each of the last 1, 2, 3. Well, in the last 5 rounds combined, they each have gotten 3 or 4 running backs. So they probably won't go. I could probably push running back around the turn. It looks like there's just a defensive run. So I might as well just jump on this bandwagon here. I am not sure who I even have ranked at I swore I had defense on these cheat sheets. I'll go to a different cheat sheet. What defense? Packers, Seahawks, Rams. All right. Packers have a week 5 bye. Oh, and they just got what's his name? Packers defense looking up these days. Micah Parsons. They just got Micah Parsons, so their defense probably get another 10 sacks this year. Maybe cause some other chaos. So, yeah, I kind of luck into the Green Bay defense there. Good on me. Happy. Catching falling values is kind of my favorite thing. I'm a very frugal person by nature. So anytime I get a discount, super happy about it. I just thought about, so last week I have pretty bad plantar fasciitis and a whole lot of other body arthritis, just all kinds of issues. Aging sucks. But I now get orthotic shoes called UFOs. And I will say this, it's like walking on clouds. But they're $150 shoes, and they don't, they're not the sharpest looking things, but I caught them on a clearance sale, and I got 4 pair of shoes for $50 each when they're usually $150. So yeah, frugal. I have shoes all set for the whole year. All right, so do I go defense or running back? I think I'm gonna go running back here. Just like Will Shipley here seems too good to pass up. Like in the NFFC tournament, I have 0 shares of Saquon Barkley, so I'm trying to scoop up Shipley where I can. Because essentially I've made a bet that Barkley does not have the year he had last year. I'm basically betting that he gets injured or is out in some way, shape, or form. Because like if he plays, he's obviously going to be a top 5 running back. If he plays 17 games, he'll finish in the top 5 of running backs. But if he's out, Will Shipley could easily slide into 80% of his role, and I'll take 80% of Barkley shows up in your lineup whenever that happens. So I will take Shipley's contingency value, and yeah, I kind of felt as though we saw a defense run. We usually kind of see a back off of that run, although kickers are going a little bit ahead of, like, I usually don't see the third and fourth kicker maybe until the next. I guess it's not that much, but I'm keeping my eye on kicker now too because I want to be able to get 3 of them, and I might just have to go defense kicker in the next 4 or 5 rounds just to make sure I get all of them. But there are going to be a couple running backs that are tempting me while I go through. So I do want to. Ooh, there's 2 defenses that I've been targeting, but they're likely. Yeah, they're definitely. I would think they're definitely going to go. You know what? All right. So I missed out on a whole bunch of picks. The 17th round. Oh, darn. All right, so after my Tajee Spears pick is where I'll go. Xavier Leggett, Kareem Hunt, Quentin Johnson, Isaac Tesla, the Cowboys kicker, Steelers defense, Elijah Arroyo, Eagles defense, Harold Fannin, a tight end I normally have on my radar but forgot to star. I might have contemplated Fannin over Spears in the 16th. Had it popped in my head. I looked at my cheat sheet, but I know I didn't look over to the right where the tight ends are. Oh well. After Fannin, we see Troy Franklin. He's shooting up draft boards. Then the Jets defense, Harold Fannin to start the 17th. Then we see Vikings defense, Chargers kicker, Texans defense, Ravens defense, Buffalo Bills defense, Lions defense, Chiefs defense, Packers defense, Niners defense, DeAndre Hopkins, Chargers defense, Rams defense, Michael Wilson, Pat Freiermuth. I take Will Shipley. Then we see Texans kicker, Lions kicker, Cowboys defense, Amari Cooper, Seattle defense, Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon in the 18th. I like that pick. I don't know if I would have taken him over Shipley, though. He's kind of been completely forgotten about, and there's a chance he comes back after 6 to 8 weeks and really, like, he can be dominant when he does play if he's got his head on straight, but we'll see about that. All right, to end the 18th, we see the Jets defense and Troy Franklin, followed by Keaton Mitchell, which is another running back that, like, yeah, I've been eyeing Keaton Mitchell up for 4 or 5 rounds, but I just think Spears and Shipley are probably smarter. Well, I don't know. Keaton Mitchell is he's one of the more talented backs, but he has been injured and definitely has Henry and Hill kind of in established roles. Keaton Mitchell might get a few touches, but he's really waiting on one of those two to go down or falter. After Keaton Mitchell, we see Jalen Wright, New York Giants defense, DJ Giddens, Tampa Bay Bucks defense, Jarquez Hunter, Kyle Williams. And if people are picking the Giants defense before the Cardinals defense, so I have the Cardinals and another team ranked pretty high. So, yeah. I'm going to go Cardinals defense just because they've gotten a lot of hype lately. There is another defense that I traditionally really like to go for, and they have no other teams remaining with their bye week. So I like to make sure my onesie positions all have different bye weeks. There goes Taj Brooks, which is another running back I had in my queue. Damian Pierce was another running back I had in my queue. There's the DJ Giddens, which I mentioned earlier, was in my queue. There's only one more running back that I really kind of like remaining. But might have to how many defenses are left? There'll probably be a defense that comes back to me, but I'm not really going to like it. Not that that matters for a third defense. There's also a couple of kickers that I would like to grab before we see a kicker run, really. So I'm torn between those two positions, but still have one running back that I would like to get. I suppose he probably won't make it back around. But there's very few running backs left that I would even consider drafting that aren't complete and utter dart throws. But I'm going to have to just play that risk. And so no kickers or quarterbacks go after my Cardinals pick. We see Taj Brooks, Darius Slayton, Pat Bryant, Dalton Schultz, Torrey Holton, Anthony Richardson. It's probably the smarter move to just wait on defense because there's definitely going to one that's coming back, and your third defense doesn't have to be good. They just have to fill in bye week zeros or you hope for one or two spike weeks here or there. But I always like picking the Patriots defense. They certainly are set up to falter and fall off. All right. I don't think they had a very, let me just show take in. So last year they really fell off as far as fantasy. So I should have just waited on that. I've been doing this for a very long time, and back in the MFL 10 days, where MFL was the preeminent best ball site, it wasn't a tournament, but I suppose there were tournaments. I just didn't consistently play in them, but it was just mostly straight best ball. But the Patriots had a couple of years where it was extremely difficult to win even your league without having the Patriots defense. There have been years where the Patriots defense will score like 10 touchdowns and just annihilate all other defenses. So while I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, it's kind of my stuck in my boomer ways. I'm not really any type of boomer whatsoever, but stuck in the past kind of pick. But I contemplated picking them when I got the Cardinals defense, and the Cardinals defense has really been hyped. It's more of a redraft pick. I think 5 of their 6 weeks they play like rookie quarterbacks or home games against bad teams. Like, I haven't really looked into it. I just have heard while watching a whole lot of live streamed main events. There are a lot of really, good drafters that are targeting that Cardinals defense earlier than this. There are guys, that do hundreds of, and I'll do over 300 best ball drafts, but there are guys that, are preeminent names in fantasy football that are ranking the Cardinals in the top 6 defenses as far as redraft, because you can drop. But if I can get 6 weeks out of the Cardinals defense, the Packers should carry me the rest of the way. I probably didn't need a third, certainly didn't need it necessarily that early, but I've explained my thoughts on the Patriots defense. Before I took the Patriots defense went Anthony Richardson. I think that is a absolutely tremendous pick. I still think Anthony Richardson will start 6 to 8 games this year. Daniel Jones just sucks. As soon as they are mathematically eliminated, or Daniel Jones, fumbles his 10th, ball on a 20-yard sack or something, he'll have 8 to 10 really good plays, and then just avoid getting sacked, but then trip and fumble the ball while he's doing it, and they'll run it back for a touchdown, and they'll end up losing the game because of it. That'll happen 2 or 3 times, and the Colts will get tired of it, and Richardson will be, I'm thinking towards the end, in playoff formats, Anthony Richardson in the 18th to 20th round, the last round, he's available like in all leagues now, and yes, I'm overloaded on Anthony Richardson in the 14th and 15th round already, but he's really hard to avoid in the 18th or 20th round, depending on your format, as especially in those tournaments where you have the playoff weeks. You hit 1 or 2 Anthony Richardson spike weeks in weeks 15, 16, 17, you are in the money. This format's a little bit different. I still like the pick, though, this late when there are essentially nothing left at quarterback. I mean, when you're down to drafting Spencer Rattler as your third quarterback, you might as well just wait for, Kirk Cousins or something later. All right. So after my Patriots pick, a few more defenses: Chicago Bears, Commanders, Colts defense. Then we see Jatavian Sanders, Roman Wilson, Spencer Rattler, a couple more defenses in the Raiders and the Bengals. Then 3 kickers: Broncos, Falcons, and Steelers kicker, Chris Rodriguez, Cleveland Browns defense. And then the running back I was looking at, Brashard Smith. So I missed out on a few of my running backs, but having drafted those 3 early is why I kind of turned in the other direction. I have zero need for running back. And as I said, the defenses that are remaining: Falcons, Dolphins, Jaguars, Saints, Titans, Panthers. And, they very well could equal the score of the Patriots. So really, I kind of missed out on Brashard Smith. So maybe if I got Brashard Smith there, I could just grab one of these scrap defenses and have done the same thing. But it allows me also to shift to kicker, where, you know what? I'm going to go with the Vikings kicker because, yes, they have a unique bye week of all the teams remaining. So I won't cross over their bye week. They were one of the top scoring kickers last year. Should be a good offense. They might struggle to put the ball in the end zone. Might kick a lot of field goals. Don't. Happy with it. I was looking in a different direction. And if that, actually there's 2 or 3 team kickers remaining that I will definitely come back with. Okay, good. I almost took the Chiefs kicker, where I took the Vikings right there. After we see my Vikings go, they've been my team for about 10 minutes. Not even 2 minutes. After I took the Vikings kicker, we see the Falcons defense and Dolphins defense go. Then the Kansas City Chiefs kicker. I'd just rather not have anything to do with that particular kicker. I don't mind drafting them in this format because technically I'm not drafting that particular person. But I do not like his stances on society, let's say that. After the Chiefs kicker, we go with to start the 22nd round, we see Sean Tucker come off the board. I like that for them. Then the Jaguars defense, Alec Ayamaner. Is there even any? I'm going to queue up a kicker here. Team kicker. It's team kicker in this format so that, you don't have to really worry about injury, which makes it feasible that going with 2 kickers isn't a bad idea. But it's just the stats say that especially in this format where every single week counts equally, you never really want to take a 0 at any position. So when you take 2, you think a bye week, yeah, the likelihood of getting a 0 when you take a team kicker is fairly low, but there's a high likelihood that even if if the Vikings have a great week and score 5 touchdowns, they may not kick a field goal, and 5 points, loses to a guy that kicks 2 field goals. So having that third kicker, third defense, and then 3 or 4 quarterback, 3 or 4 tight end, always good to have, triple the depth at those positions. Got to get hydrated. If you're here in the chat and I don't know who you are, please, hit the like, say hi. If you have questions, let me know. If you have criticisms, throw them in there. I'm not too full of myself that I think I'm the best at this. I'm not trying to guide you or teach you. I'm just showing you what I do, and I've been mildly successful enough that I'm continuing to do this and put myself out there. So, right behind me in the 3 or the 5. Oh yeah, you're in the 5. Gotcha. Thanks for letting me know. I think I've been pretty good at avoiding who I'm thinking about drafting, and you haven't really. Well, I did like the Dameon Pierce pick. There's a couple picks of yours that I was like, oh, you got me. CJ Stroud got me, I think. Oh, the Tyler Warren pick right after my Addison pick. I was really, I guess I shouldn't have been thinking he'd come back around, but that was a good pick. Definitely like that. Good job, Rye. So yeah, what do we got here? I'm kind of fading on what I'm doing. It's the more you talk in the chat, the more distracted you'll make me, and you can scoop up some of the value I leave behind. Wow, tight end is so depleted at this point. I got a couple late guys I really like, but really, there's nothing here that's gonna be. All right. Kickers really haven't run off the board. Gonna look at my cheat sheet. Ooh, just so depleted at this point. All right. Where are we going? A couple more kickers coming off. Oh, I do have. We're in the 23rd round at this point. After I took the Tampa Bay Bucks kicker, we see Isaac Guerrero, Alec Pierce, Cincinnati Bengals, Kendre Miller, Raheem Mostert, Roshan Johnson, Saints defense, Jaguars kicker. Oh, Jaguars kicker would be another one. Good one. Juwan Johnson comes off the board, probably the last floor tight end. Tennessee's defense, I think, is the last defense off the board. Kyle Monangai goes. He was probably next on my radar. Then we see Ravens kicker, Bills kicker, Eagles kicker, and Trey Harris. Where do I go? I think we got about 10 kickers left, maybe more than 10 kickers, so I can avoid that for now. Is there anything I should be looking at? There's probably a couple stacks I should be looking at. And there's a running backs, I think he'll fade. I think he'll fall, but he has been getting a little bit of hype lately. And I just think he's been underdrafted all draft season, is Trevor Etienne. He was picked just after, I want to say, Cam Scatterboo and Bashal Tutin, but maybe it was a couple other running backs that are definitely being drafted considerably ahead of him. And He's even being drafted behind a couple of guys that were drafted after him. Um, as it stands right now, he's the third running back on that Carolina offense, but Chuba Hubbard isn't a pass catcher, really at all. Rico Dowdle is an adequate pass catcher. But as far as the running backs go on that team, Trevor Etienne is probably the best pass catching back. So could carve out a role for himself, even if there is no injury. And if there, all it takes is one injury, well, even if it's to Chuba Hubbard, you'll see Rico Dowdle take over first and second down duties with Etienne being that third down guy. It's really a later in the season play, but I just think people are missing that upside. Some of the, well, I guess Monangai has similar upside, kind of Monangai. I guess this is the range. He's been going later. It's probably a bit of a reach. But Elijah Mitchell, who just got drafted, may not even be on the team by week 2. Miles Sanders. Yeah, okay. Miles Sanders will probably get 100, maybe up to 150 touches, but I don't think they're going to be high value touches at any point. Might get some goal line work, but I think Dallas has some other ways to get in. Dak's not afraid to run it in. They like to go to the tight end. They can use both of those receivers in the end zone. So after Sanders, we see Jalen Royals. Oddly enough, Jalen Royals is one of the guys I dropped in my redraft league when I was trying to pick up Keenan Allen, but I think I got somebody else. Jalen Royals probably won't do anything with Rashee Rice. All right, so Rashee Rice is out the first 6 games. If Rashee Rice was out like later in the season, I think Jalen Royals would have slid into a similar role. And actually, maybe I should be looking at what I'm going to do. I'm definitely not going to go in that direction. Shoot, I didn't have anybody queued up really. I didn't look at Bible. I'll go with Dolphins kicker, even though like I could have waited on kicker. I kind of didn't come in well prepped. I know there's a couple receivers I want, but I think they'll fall a few rounds. And there's some definitely, like, if I don't get the guys I'm targeting, there's still other guys out there I'm happy with. Having the Dolphins kicker ends my kicker defense. I have a couple of tight ends that I know I can get late. Although there's one I might get next round if he comes back. The receivers. Okay. Just want to get them. Any of these receivers that I will have queued up are just, they fit my team. And I don't think anybody else will have them on their radar to draft, so I can kind of wait on them. I'm playing the ADP game, which is not the brightest thing to do in the late 20s. But I don't mind. Like, I do have 7 receivers already, so I think I'm only getting 2 more receivers. I'm going to get 2 more receivers, 2 tight ends, and maybe 1 running back, 1 quarterback, maybe 2 running backs. We'll see. But I don't see any reason why anybody else would even consider drafting the 3 receivers I have in the queue. I could see, actually, I'll put the tight end at the top of the queue. One of my tight ends at the top of the queue. He could go, and I would like to have him now that I think about it. Actually, there's a few tight ends I like, but only one I would get with my next pick, or would target with my next pick. Do want to look at this running back. situation. There's two guys I think I had targeted this late early in the season that I haven't been looking at lately that I can come back to, but definitely no sense of urgency on that running back front. There are a couple I like, but probably nothing that, yeah, if this team is successful, it's always going to be Gibbs, Achane, or Harvey in the starting lineup. The Spears, Shipley, and Trevor Etienne are kind of contingency value kind of picks, even though maybe I reached a little bit for Etienne and maybe even a little bit for Shipley. The Spears might have fallen too, but I don't even think he should have fallen as far as the 16th. You know, I explained those, but okay, I think I forgot to continue to rattle off the draft picks. Let's start with my Trevor Etienne pick in the 23rd. Then that was at the 9th pick of the 23rd round. After that, we see the Commanders kicker, Elijah Mitchell, Miles Sanders, who I did that, Jalen Royals, Tyler Lockett, Tyler Higbee goes before my Miami kicker pick. Tyler Higbee actually would have fit my team really, really well. That would have been a really good pick. I didn't even have him on my radar, so it's not like I can say I got sniped. But I take the Miami kicker. Ryan next to me takes the 49ers kicker. Then we see Devin Neal, Adonai Mitchell, good pick. If I had gotten one of those Colts quarterbacks, I would have had Mitchell on my radar for sure. We see the Cardinals kicker, Marshawn Lloyd. I have so much Marshawn Lloyd. I just don't think he's ever really going to see the field on any kind of consistent basis. He can't stay healthy. Then we see Jalen Coker, Raiders kicker, Packers kicker, Emmanuel Wilson, good running back pick this late. Colts kicker, Isaiah Davis, good running back pick this late. We see Rams kicker, Seahawks kicker, Bears kicker, Kirk Cousins. I like that pick this late. I think he might find some time on another team. Noah Gray, good pick, Rye. But that I was looking at Terrence Ferguson. It's a stack with Stafford. Probably doesn't see much action until the second half of the season, but man, they really like him. They were excited about the pick. They said they had him on their radar for a while. They're really excited about it. Tyler Higbee is their starting tight end, but I don't know if Tyler Higbee has certainly never lived up to the hype we've given him. Now I'm sure he'll live up to 24th round pick, right? You were deciding between Ferguson and Noah Gray. Noah Gray's solid too. You got Kelsey too, right? So that I like that Noah Gray pick. To handcuff Kelsey, I think that's a perfect situation. That's smart for you. That fits your team better, right? And Ferguson fits my team better because I have Stafford. So we're good. Josh Reynolds went. I thought he might even slip further. That's my last chance to stack Justin Fields. Honestly, I was going to wait until the 27th to get him, which is probably a mistake. I definitely draft Josh Reynolds in the 18th round of underdogs. Yeah, that makes more sense for your team. Yeah, I draft Josh Reynolds as early as the 18th, which is the last round of underdog. But I definitely like to stack him with Justin Fields. Although I do have something in the back of my mind that I'll be tight-lipped about for a second. Not that anybody else is going to want the guy I'm thinking of, but I'm going to make a pick that fits my team rather than a roster construction pick, if that makes sense. I'll explain it when I'm done. So after Terrence Ferguson is that the Patriots kicker, Josh Reynolds, who I had high in my queue. Keishawn Butte. I like the booty pick. I like saying that anyway. But I really only get him when I get Drake May. But that is a great way to backstack him super late. That's not what he did, but not a bad pick anyway. Then we see the Saints kicker, Calvin Austin. Carolina's defense, that must be the last defense. Then in the 26th round, I'm just going to stack Stafford again with Tutu Atwell. Bit of a contingency bet. So Tutu he was signed to a big contract, right? Or a sizable contract for what we would conceive as his talent level. Tutu Atwell also returns kicks. The kickoff rules this year seem to be favoring the return teams and returners. That's why a lot of NFL teams literally leaned towards kick returners with their draft picks at wide receiver and running back. And if Devontae Adams happens to go down, which, he's old, and Puka, he's injury prone. Tutu Atwell tends to see a rise in targets when that happens. Also, if Stafford does go down and it's Garoppolo, Devontae Adams and Garoppolo have a rocky past, so I wouldn't be shocked if Stafford has a career-ending injury, which is possible. His back is jacked up. You might see Devontae Adams just be like, "Let me get out of town, man. Send me to Pittsburgh. Let me go back to my nut job boy and finish out his career too." I don't know. Then maybe they've mended fences and Garoppolo's back on, Team Devontae. But I think Tutu Atwell is kind of a multi-sided contingency pick there. Then we see Jalen Tolbert. I liked Tolbert before they got Pickens, but I could see that still, especially 26th round. Then we see Titans kicker, Panthers kicker, Dontavian Wicks. That's another guy with some upside there. With Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed's going to be fighting a Jones fracture injury for the rest of the season. Really don't like. I'm going to be knocking Jaden. I know I've been soft fading Jaden Reed. Actually, I think I did draft Jaden Reed in my last draft. Let me see. No, I did. No, I drafted Romeo Doubs. That's who I'm targeting. So, yeah, I got Doubs in the 15th. Where does he get Jaden Reed? I just saw it. Jaden Reed went in the 12th round. I think I understand feeling that's a value, but I would rather have Brandon Ayuk in the 15th than Jaden Reed in the 12th. To me, it's similar pick. Just we know the weeks Ayuk's going to be out. And then again, he could be out longer, but hopefully not. I have way too much of him for him to be out for too long. Ooh. Glad I waited on, well, we'll see. I just saw another running back that's got some upside, some contingency. Debating, do I want a fourth quarterback? There's a couple that present value right now. All right, so what else do we see here? I got up to the Wicks pick. After the Dontavian Wicks, we see Jalen Naylor, Will Disley, Jack Besh, Olamide Zaccheaus. Ty Johnson was one of the running backs. I think I really feel as though Ty Johnson has the third down duty from the start. They love him. He is good, above average at what he does, and has contingency upside in the case of Cooks going down Not much upside, though. Ray Davis would take more of the upside there. Then we see Tyler Shupp, not the quarterback I would choose there. Just, I mean, if you can't beat out Spencer Rattler and you've been injured every year of your college career, no thanks. Chris Brooks, good pick. Before that, we see Devon Vele, Keandre Lambert-Smith, Jalen Knoll, Nick Westbrook-Akine. And I forget about Chris Brooks a lot. That's a pretty decent pick. There's 2 running backs there. I'm going to grab one more running back, and this might seem a little lame, but I'm going to go with Devin Singletary. He's a favorite in the locker room and could have some contingency trade upside. You never know if Houston, can't find the running back they want. They might be looking toward Devin Singletary. Brian Daboll really likes Devin Singletary. I think he'll stay on the Giants for as long as possible. We'll see. This season can take a lot of twists and turns, and that would be the Singletary bet there. All right. Let me just make sure how many. I have 7 running backs, 8 wide receivers, 3 more picks. I'm going to go 1 more tight end, 1 more wide receiver, and could go 1 more running back. There is 1 more running back out there I kind of like. Jimmy Garoppolo goes. That was one of the quarterbacks I had my eye on, obviously, but I opened my mouth about it. So, although doesn't seem like Zolkind is listening in. Even though I did drop in the chat that I was live streaming right now. I do it, just what the heck. I always enjoy people letting me know they're here, though. Doesn't look like anybody is from this draft. After my Singletary pick, we see Giants, Jets, and Browns kicker along with Jimmy G, Sky Moore, Christian Watson. I'm going to draft a 4th quarterback, which I don't usually do. I mentioned his name before, but I think Jalen Milroe might see some late season action. And then the 28th round with the quarterbacks I do have, kind of shaky. I don't mind a late season kind of roll the dice kind of play. Jalen Milroe is best comparable to a poor man's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts certainly, is it the end of his rookie year or was it his second year he started to really, I think he played a little bit at the end of his rookie year, showed some upside, and then his second year, they got rid of, who'd they have, Wentz? Is that his second year or his third year? Something like that. But, I don't think Darnold makes it much past week 11 if he makes it that far. I think, the true Sam Darnold is the quarterback that sees ghosts. And it's a shame. I think he has talent. I think he was a decent draft pick where they got him, but the Jets threw him into a situation that psychologically might have him screwed up for the rest of his career. So, when I can get Milroe in the 28th round as a last 6 week of the season bet, I'm going to do that just about every time. And I have quite a bit of Milroe in like 20 round super flex drafts and, 18th, 19th, 20th round. So I do have other bets on Milroe, and I shouldn't need him. If I do need him, you know, I'm probably not in the money weeks. Oh, that could be false too. Like if Milroe does start like the last 6 weeks of the season, then I won't need Stafford or Fields most likely. So I just, especially with Stafford, I kind of like a fourth quarterback, especially when I can get something with potentially high upside this late. All right, so after Milroe went Cole Kmet. It's a tight end I think is being severely overlooked. I think he will get a lot of the inline snaps with the rookie Loveland dominating slot snaps or flank snaps. They do have those three amazing receivers, and DJ Moore should be the starting slot receiver. So, there's going to be a crunch for targets, but Kmet's not a bad player at all. And I would think he has amazing trade value. So if they find that Loveland is doing the job, you could see Cole Kmet on a different team. There's been more trades in the past 2 years in the NFL than we've seen throughout history, really. So trades are a thing nowadays, which is good because we often talk about them when they rarely existed. Okay. So Ray McLeod is one of the receivers I had in my queue for a while and just thought he was likely being completely ignored, which leaves me, I don't think, with any stacks left. Tutu. Oh, no, there is one. I'm in my last 2-round picks, so not really concerned about, how far I'm reaching here. I have 2 tight ends, actually 3 tight ends that I truly believe, 4 tight ends that have, I think, top 12 tight end upside. But I'm going to grab this receiver first, right after my boy Ryan here takes his pick. I got to look into that George Halani pick too. I'm going to grab, there's a Q tag next to him. I think he just came back. So Allen Lazard is on track to be available week 1. Never thought he'd still be a Jet. Figured he'd be on Pittsburgh now. But I haven't drafted Lazard yet. And as a potential stack with Fields, 29th round, why not? Kenneth Gainwell is the other running back I had in my queue, kind of on my board when I drafted Singletary. I think that's a good pick. After the Kmet pick in the 28th round, so I picked Milroe, then Kmet went. Then we saw Jordan Whittington, Trey Tucker, Malik Washington, Ray McLeod. That maybe I should have gotten. Nah, I like Milroe. Maybe I should have gotten Ray instead of Devin Singletary. And then, if I had gotten Ray instead of Singletary, I would have gotten Gainwell instead of Lazard. C'est la vie. After McLeod goes Tyler Conklin, Shedeur Sanders, Jalen Lane's been getting a lot of hype lately. AJ Barner is probably the starting tight end in Seattle. Really good pick there. I'm just unsure of that situation altogether. And then we see Jaleel McLaughlin, Isaiah Bond, really good pick. A receiver in the 29th round, Taysom Hill. I was grabbing a bunch of him early, but I'm not sure he even gets back on the field. Who knows? We'll see. I'm still hopeful for Taysom Hill. Massive spike weeks that you can get in the 29th round. Zach Wilson. Ooh, good Miami kind of backup pick. Should have had him on my radar more. Audric Estime, Samaje Perine, George Halani. I've been seeing him picked, but I really don't know anything about him. As far as I could tell, he's a totally made-up player. But I need to look into that because I've seen him picked in probably all of my last 5 drafts this late. I took Allen Lazard, then we said Kenneth Gainwell. Antonio Gibson goes, Kendrick Bourne, Ben Sinnott, another tight end that I think has potential high upside. Elijah Moore, really good pick at wide receiver this late. Mitchell Trubisky goes. I am going to, just because he's next in my queue. Actually, I'm going to go Michael Mayer at tight end. Again, there are still 3 other tight ends that I like. Probably should have gone with one of the other 2 for more upside. And so Michael Mayer. I think Michael Mayer is the reason why there was trade talk about, the Raiders receiver, Myers. Why can't I think of his first name? All I think is Michael Myers. Jacoby Myers, the law firm. So to get it correct, the word on the street now is that Jacoby Myers didn't ask for a trade. Teams were inquiring about him. But regardless, what we've seen in practice and some preseason games is that Michael Mayer is the inline tight end, while Brock Bowers is being more used as more of a receiver. I think we see a lot of that going forward. When Michael Mayer started out last season with an injury, I think he started on the PUP or on injured reserve, and it was really, I think he was very disgruntled that they took a tight end as high as they did in the draft. And Michael Mayer is a talent. Michael Mayer can play tight end. He backed on 80% of the other teams in the NFL. He is their solo starting tight end, and all of a sudden we propel Mike Myers to the Dallas Goedert range, Dalton Kincaid range, Jake Ferguson range, maybe even. I wouldn't be surprised if you see lineups of Michael Mayer, Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers as their set. So they play Brock Bowers as the X or the Y, Jacoby Myers as the X or the Z, X or the Z. Michael Mayer is the Y, the inline tight end, and they go from there. Or you could see a 3 wide receiver set with Michael Mayer as the tight end and Brock Bowers as a receiver. Brock Bowers is basically a receiver at this point. He has tight end value, but I think with Michael Mayer healthy, you probably only see Brock Bowers in line 20-30% of the time. He's going to be split in the slot or even out wide. So I like the Michael Mayer pick there. And there are still 3 tight ends that I think are going to have value. I'll let you in on them, because if you're hanging out this late and still watching, bravo to you, really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're watching later, the comments matter even more. Please go visit wheelrouteff.com. The last article I posted on there is all about redraft rankings. There's a cheat sheet there. If you still have redraft leagues, home leagues to draft tonight, tomorrow, Wednesday, what have you, use it. It's good to go. You might want to pay attention to some of the recent news this weekend. It might have been missed on there. But so I'll go over my team. Oh, the 3 tight ends that I had my queue that are worth a look, or certainly worth picks this late. Gunnar Helm from Tennessee. If he didn't break it, or I don't know if he broke his ankle or if he severely sprained his ankle, but he injured his ankle in the combine and kept going through the combine. So all of his times are with a severely injured ankle, which makes him, the numbers make him look like he's not very athletic, but consider most of that was with a severely sprained ankle at a minimum. You can see there are pictures of the bruise and the swelling like immediately after, and it's not pretty. And coming from a guy that has 9 screws in his fibula with a rod holding it together and 2 more screws through the ankle bone, I know about ankle injuries, and that was I've sprained my left ankle 14 times on top of that, and my right ankle 8. I have seen all of the ankle injuries there are to see. That one was bad. And he kept going. So Gunnar Helm has tremendous upside. And Chigakonkwo, everybody's hype on him because we're like, where are the targets going? They got to go somewhere. Chig is athletic. Chig does good when he gets the ball. Yeah. But he hasn't separated himself as a particularly great tight end or receiver. You know, we're still waiting until the 14th, 15th round to even consider drafting him. Gunnar Helm could take that spot right over. From what I understand, he's great hands and more athletic than he appears on paper. Another one is Cade Stover, highly touted last year, didn't get to play due to injury. The tight end ahead of him is replacement level CJ Stroud's the quarterback. Dalton Schultz is just, he's an adequate, startable tight end in the NFL. You don't really ever want to start him on your fantasy team. But, best ball, he presents a floor and possible touchdown weeks to, get in the lineup a couple of times. But Cade Stover could easily just take that over. And the other one is Luke Musgrave in the same light as Michael Mayer. Musgrave's more of the inline guy, while Kraft is more the receiving guy. But when Musgrave is in, you see him and Kraft have about the same amount of targets, and neither one of them are particularly high, usually 3 to 4 targets when they're both on the field at once. So it's really a matter of which tight end is healthy in that Green Bay offense as to which tight end is going to get that touchdown. Almost every week there's, I don't want to say that. You can, I don't want to say count on, but I wouldn't bet against the Green Bay tight end touchdown pretty much every week. You just don't know which tight end is going to get it. It's whichever one's on the field, and if they're both on the field, flip a coin. All right, so let me go over this squad. I don't think it's my best just because I'm fairly weak at tight end and quarterback, but those last few rounds, I think I got some contingency upside kind of plays, so might fall my way nonetheless. My running backs are strong, and I like my wide receivers too. There is a little bit of Swiss cheese. There might be some holes, but we'll see. Let me go over this. So I started out first round, Jahmyr Gibbs, second round, Devon Achane. Third and fourth, I come back with Mike Evans and Devontae Adams. Little elderly crew there, but I'll make up for it later. Grabbed RJ Harvey in the fifth, Jalen Waddle in the sixth, Stephon Diggs in the seventh, Jordan Addison in the eighth, Evan Ingram in the ninth to give me some solid floor at the tight end. Justin Fields in the 10th for the upside, Darnell Mooney in the 11th for some more floor and a stack with Michael Penix that I got in the 12th. Then I come back with Matthew Stafford, the last kind of consistent quarterback I see that was remaining. Isaiah Likely, a contingency upside play at tight end. Brandon Ayuk, another contingency or a later season upside at wide receiver. Same with Tajay Spears, later season upside at running back. Packers defense, which I think should be bumping up draft boards due to the Micah Parsons acquisition. Will Shipley, contingency upside running back. Cardinals defense as a tremendous schedule to start the season. Patriots defense because I'm old and remember way back when. Then I went with the Vikings kicker, Dome, Tampa Bay kicker, good weather, and away games in domes. So he's got the Falcons and Saints every year. So he kicks in those two domes. And who I think there's another mixed in there, but and then the warm weather stadium, traditionally good scoring kickers. Trevor Etienne, maybe a little bit of a reach, but I think this is where he belongs. But really, it could even see him going a little bit earlier. Just a completely unhyped running back, and actually didn't have a whole lot of production in college. But I think that was more. I think his lack of production in college is a reflection of him knowing he was going to get drafted at some point due to the nepotism of the NFL and his brother being a starting running back in the NFL. Then I went with the Dolphins kicker just because I was kind of like, where do I go? What do I do here? I'll just go kicker and get my last one. And as I was glancing, I was like, the Dolphins had a better projection and previous season points than other kickers. Again, great weather, stadium, and I guess not a lot of domes, and there is a lot of competition. So but that was my third kicker, so whatever. Then I came back with tight end Terrence Ferguson to stack with Stafford, and for his potential late season upside, Tutu Atwell, another stack with Stafford, and contingency upside if anything happens to Devontae Adams. Devin Singletary as kind of a triple condom pick that maybe I kind of want back. If I could do it all over again, I think I said I would have gone with Ray McLeod as a receiver there. And then in this 29th round, probably would have done it in the 28th, I would have grabbed Kenneth Gainwell. But honestly, they kind of have the Singletary and Gainwell. Really, at this point, might as well be the same player. They're the third running back on each of their teams, realistically. They might be second on the depth chart ahead of the rookies in their backfield, but that's not how it's going to be by the time week 3 and 4 roll around. Singletary is really completely. If either one of those two running backs get injured, he will be their fill-in. They trust him. Singletary could get some goal line touches just because he's the veteran that. And what's the starting running back? What the heck? I always forget names in instances. Tyrone Tracy has fumbling trouble, especially inside the opponent's 10. So I would not be surprised if early in the season, Kevin Singletary gets a lot of the goal line touches. And then there's the potential. Every team in the NFL would love to have Devin Singletary in their locker room. His nickname is Motor, first of all. And nicknames mean things when it's something like that. Motor is one of those that, like, man, he's either motoring people over or he never stops, yada, yada, yada. That's such a good nickname to have. And there's just been so many good things said about Singletary as far as locker room, mentor, kind of, he's kind of on the field coach he's still got some juice left. And then Jalen Milroe, I talked about the contingency upside there. Is Jalen Hurts-like, especially with the rushing value he adds. Alan Lazard is just a stack with Justin Fields. I've been an anti-Lazard guy my his whole career. But he's still there, and he's probably going to be playing week 1. So he's just as decent a pick as Josh Reynolds is. And I have a fair amount of Josh Reynolds stacked with Fields. And in my last pick, I talked about Michael Mayer and the rest of the tight ends. So I'm not going to go reiterate that. That is the last of my NFFC teams for the year. I think that's it for now. I might come back later with streaming some underdog, Best Ball Manias right before the tournament ends. I plan on being back tomorrow with a waiver wire show that isn't going to be all waiver wire. I probably will actually do a couple drafters draft there if I'm not completely exhausted. I'll stream that. I'm going to do the drafts regardless, but it'll depend on my energy level while I'm actually streaming or not. That's why I say to subscribe and turn on notifications, because I'm a kind of a last second, like, am I going to stream this? Am I going to record this? Or am I just going to do it on my tablet on my couch? I have a full-time job teaching. So this is a hobby that I'm trying to expand into something. Actually, I'm doing a lot of the streaming to see if I can get site credits like a lot of the streamers do, so I can continue to play and not have to. Actually, I'll probably keep the same amount of money in, just I'd like to do more drafts. And the more I do them on stream, the more I kind of get used to and familiar with doing all the things at once. But anyway, rambling on. That is the end of my NFFC season. I said I'll do a couple of drafters, a couple of Best Ball Manias, might stream them. Tuesday, I'll do the drafters and waiver wire-ish kind of show. Thursday, pregame, I will review some of my rankings, answer questions. I will probably start the stream around 6-ish, maybe let's say 6:30, and go up to 8, or maybe even game time. I gotta look at what time the game is. I think it should be 8 o'clock on a Thursday, but we'll see. I'll do something on Thursday. You'll see my ugly mug along with, I don't know, some players that I think are must starts, good starts, or leave them on the bench and wait till Friday or Sunday. There's a Friday game this week. Which I could do a Friday stream as well. I might add some Battle Royale in there or something. We'll see. I don't really do DFS, but I'm kind of up in the air as to what I would do on a Saturday. Most Saturdays I'm on lockdown with the girl, but she's away this weekend, so we'll see. But then Sunday, I will debut the Sunday morning start sit, kind of go over my rankings. I plan on doing 10 till game time, so 10 a.m. East, so a 3-hour show pre-game. But if I can't fill it with questions, and if you don't have questions, week one, there's probably the fewest questions there will be all year, just because most of you should just go with the guys you drafted first. But there'll be a couple, curveballs thrown that we might go over. And then I'll go through my lineups. I'll scour Twitter for some questions that might, like, a lot of people at my fantasy league, and we should all be getting off Twitter anyway. Let's go to Blue Sky. I'll definitely scan. I will get questions from my Discord first. So if you're not in my Discord, hit the website and jump in the Discord. The Discord is at some point going to go behind a paywall, but if you're in there before the paywall, I will automatically let you stay in the Discord. Although there might be member sections that we separate. But get in the Discord so you're there. You'll probably be grandfathered in for life. So I'll look in the Discord first. I'll look on Blue Sky. I'll look here. YouTube will be second. I'll look on Blue Sky third. And then just, if I can't find questions between those three, I'll hit other social media sites, look for other people's questions just so I have stuff to talk about. I'll go over my lineups if we get to, if we don't have enough questions. Go over some of my rankings. I might compare my rankings to some other preeminent analysts, and we'll go from there. All right. I'm going to end this. Get outside for a little bit, get some fresh air. We all should. I don't know. In Baltimore, it's absolutely beautiful out. So let's go get some fresh air, enjoy our Labor Day, and I'll see you during the week. Have a great day. Peace. Ah, shoot.